This Duck Dog Tip of the Week is brought to you by Joe Perron with Champion Retrievers. I'm Drew Keith with Honey Break Lodge. Joe, more times than not, as many people as we take hunting, having a dog that has good blind etiquette, it's always a safety factor is one thing, but nobody likes having a dog jumping around on them and getting them all muddy. Talk to me about blind etiquette.
You got a dog that's unruly in the blind, and what he's doing, he's going to knock down the guns, he's going to knock some shells down, and when the hunters get ready to grab their guns to shoot, everything's out of order. So the dog's got to really know his place and stay in his place and behave so that everybody can enjoy a nice hunt.
You can take a good hunt and ruin it by having an unruly dog.
Nobody wants a dog bothering when they try to hunt. They're there to duck hunt, and they don't need a dog that's going to be in their way. The first thing you need to do when you walk in the blind is to show his dog where it belongs and make him stay there. You can use several words. It really doesn't matter what you use. You can use kennel, you can use place. As long as you're consistent with what you use, the dog will know what you want him to do. Here, heel, sit, sit. Good.
This dog tip was brought to you by Joe Perron with Champion Retrievers. Thanks again, Joe.
You're welcome.
In a duck hunting situation, you've got a lot of different hazards for the dog. One good tool for safety is one of these vests right here, this dog vest.
Yeah, this dog vest right here will protect the dog. And first thing of all, it'll keep him warm in the cold weather. And then it'll also protect him. It'll protect him with nothing from sticks and anything that things won't go through it like if he didn't have it on. But this right here will really protect him. It's very important that they wear one of these protection vest, and for all the reasons we've said.
Another thing I do with my dogs is if we're hunting in heavy cover, I go ahead and take their collar off, because so many times you see them swimming after the duck, and the duck's going to go to that cover, and their collar gets hung up in the brush, and then there they are dog paddling. You got to get out of the blind.
Right. Put your dog one of these vests on and keep him safe.
So remember, take care of your buddy, and he'll take care of you. This Duck Dog Tip's been brought to you again by Joe Perron with Champion Retrievers. Command that I use daily is kennel. I mean, some people use up, some people use load up. Kennel's something to me that means get in that spot. What does that word mean to you, and how do you train that?
Well, what it means to the dog is that when I tell him kennel, he needs to get where I put him, and he needs to stay there. When we tell him kennel, that means you get in there and you stay right there. That's where we want you. We start training these dogs with the word kennel whenever they're real young. We do it with a little treat, get a little treat, and we'll say kennel up, and we just throw the little treat in there, and they'll go right in that kennel. And they eat their treat, and they're just as happy as can be.
Lots of love, lots of praise. Good boy.
Yeah, that's right. And you keep his stomach full, he'll do you can make him do somersaults.
That's a lot like me and you too, though.
Yeah, that's right.
That's another Duck Dog Tip of the Week, brought to you by Joe Perron with Champion Retrievers. Now back to the Honey Break experience. Probably one of the most overlooked things in a hunting dog is nutrition. But it's one of the things that's probably most important in your dog. If you don't have a healthy dog, he's not going to make a good hunt for you.
We use a good quality dog food with 30% protein, 20% fat. The protein keeps their muscles built up as they're driving through the water and the mud and everything, and tears those muscles down. We use dog food with 20% fat, which keeps them running a little cooler and keeps them, both of them together, just keeps these dogs in real good working condition.
Joe, I know I feed my dog one time a day, and it's consistent through the whole hunting season. A lot of times I'll add a little extra food in the wintertime because they are burning so much. You feed your dogs one time a day? You feed them early in the morning before the hunt or after the hunt?
I feed my dogs one time a day, and I feed them in the evening is when I feed them, so that you don't want to feed a dog in the morning and then take them hunting, because it can give them a flip stomach. So we feed at night, and then they rest and their food digests, and then the next morning they're ready to go.
You know, a lot of different times through different dogs that I've had through the years, we've tried just about every little trick or tip that you hear. You know, a can of sardines or a raw egg in the morning. But I think you answered that question earlier. Having a good quality dog food that has all that in it, you really don't need all that.
Yeah, you shouldn't need all that. The fish, the sardines will give them protein, and the oil is good for them too. And but if you feed a good quality dog food, you don't need to do that. Over here at Champion Retrievers, we feed exclusive. I've been using it for years. It seems to be the best dog food for us.
That wraps up another Duck Dog Tip of the Week, brought to you by Joe Perron and Champion Retrievers. Hi, I'm Drew Keith with Honey Break. I'm joined today with Joe Perron from Champion Retrievers, and this Gun Dog Tip of the Week is basic obedience. Joe, tell me a quick rundown on the basic obedience and how important it is.
In basic obedience, we have 3 commands that we use mostly: sit, hear, and heel. The sit command means that the dog sits by you and doesn't move until you tell him to do something else. The hear command is a very important command. Whenever you call your dog and you say the word hear, that dog needs to come to you no matter what he's doing. And then we have the heel command. It's where he sits and stays whenever you're standing, and it's where he walks whenever you're walking. He stays right by your side.
And that's something that, as far as your basic obedience, if your dog does not know basic obedience, you can send it to a professional trainer, or there's lots of books and stuff like that out there. You can do it yourself. But even if you do have it go to a professional trainer like yourself, it's always better to once you get back at the house, always reiterate that. Always go over that and redo that.
Oh yeah, you'll have to stay with your dog on those commands and keep working him on those commands so he can be really good at them.
I'm Drew Keith with Honey Break, and this is your Honey Break Gun Dog Tip of the Week. I'm Drew Keith with Honey Break. This is the Honey Break Gun Dog Tip of the Week. Today we're going to talk about a dog using his nose to find the bird. More times than not, in hunt test situation, you want the dog to trust you. In my situation, we're hunting heavy cover, so you want the dog to be able to go in there and get that bird and bring it back to you, as fast as he can, and not lose a bunch of birds. Joe, tell me what we can do as far as enhancing a dog using his nose.
What we do is we take a live bird and we'll throw it in the heavy grass, but we'll start him off close. We'll throw it in the heavy grass where he can see it, then we send him in the heavy grass, and he'll make him a little hunt, and he starts learning to smell, get the scent in the grass. Then as he progresses, we keep throwing the duck further and further away, and where he doesn't get to see it as well, and he has to go in there and he has to use his nose. Once the dog learns to get the live bird, and we want to make things a little more difficult, we'll use a Doken duck, and we'll throw it in that heavy cover, and then he'll really have to use his nose and work hard to find the bird, and that's how we teach them to use their nose.
Let's take Cash over here and see if we can't let him find one in thick cover over here.
Okay.
Cash. And that's the Honey Break Gun Dog Tip of the Week. I'm Drew Keith with Honey Break, and this is your Honey Break Gun Dog Tip of the Week. I'm joined here today with Jared Moffett, one of the guides here at Honey Break, and we've got Miss Ducky, and Jared's going to show us how to teach the down command and how important it is in duck blind. Jared, on our day-to-day basis, how many times do you use the down command?
Well, I use the down command very often because we have a variety of places that we hunt, and we're in a lot of different situations. We hunt out of layout blinds, we hunt out of pit blinds, we hunt out of spots that don't have dog boxes, and the down command's very important to me. And it don't take a lot of work to teach your dog the down command. It's really a simple task, just repetition, and you can do it at your house, in your living room, or outside at your kennel, out in the yard. It's not a hard task. It's simple. I just start with down, down, good, good. And she will stay there till a bird's coming in and I say the word mark, and she's gonna mark and she's gonna leave as she is.
And that's your Honey Break Gun Dog Tip of the Week. I'm Drew Keith with Honey Break. This is the Honey Break Gun Dog Tip of the Week. Joe, a lot of times, one thing people forget about before hunting season is getting their dog ready. You're getting your gear, you're getting yourself ready, but your dog, it's a lot of physical exertion on those dogs during hunting season. A lot of people don't think about that. I know I start Cash out way before season, doing just endurance. What's some things that the viewers can use as far as tips to get their dog ready for hunting season?
The first thing we do, Drew, is we start running them to a pile of bumpers. We got to loosen them up, get their muscles kind of toned up, you know, before we start putting them, you know, a lot of heavy stuff on them. We run them to the pile of bumpers, and I run a dog about 1,500 yards a day, you know, till he gets back into shape. I'll do that for a couple of weeks, you know, and stop him on the whistle if he's at that level, you know, and recast him and do his overs and stuff like that. And while I'm doing all that, getting him tuned up on the, you know, on the whistle and that, he's also getting his physical tune up. And then after that, we start throwing them more, you know, just like real hunting situations.
You know, you're right, Joe. These dogs work very hard out there in the blind. You know, how long before season should somebody start working a dog to get it in shape?
Drew, I like them to be there 2 months at least before the season starts, so we can get them, you know, really in good shape. You know, you wouldn't want them to hurt themselves out there, so we like to get them in top physical shape. 3 months would even be better.
I'm Drew Keith with Hunting Break, and this is the Duck Dog Tip of the Week. You know, Joe, having multiple dogs in the blind can be a challenge a lot of times. So tell us how you teach honoring and why it's important.
Well, we start teaching honoring when the dogs are real young. What we do is we put them on a lead while another dog is running, and they watch that other dog. If they want to go, we tell them to sit, and we keep them sit. If we have to, we just put them back down and hold them. And after you do it a certain amount of times, well, the dog's going to start catching on and he starts learning. Then after a while, you know, whenever he's doing it with a loose lead, then we'll take the lead off of him and see how he does. And we go from there.
What we're going to do here is we're going to have a bird thrown, and Tiny's going to honor, and Cash is going to go. And then we're going to come back, have another bird thrown, and Cash is going to honor while Tiny picks the bird up. Mark! Cash! Yeah. Sit. Mark! Hey! Good boy. And that's honoring. This is your Hunting Break Duck Dog Tip of the Week. Hi, I'm Drew Keith, the Hunting Break Duck Dog Tip of the Week. This week we're going to talk about hold. The importance about holding, like in the duck blind today, Cash coming in with a cripple. If for some reason he was to drop that cripple before he got it to deliver it to hand, we would have lost that duck, it would have got away. Joe, tell us how you teach the hold command.
All right, the way I teach the hold command is I put a leather glove on my hand, and I'll grab the dog and I'll put it in his mouth, and I'll put my fingers like this until the dog stops fighting me. Whenever he stops moving, I say out. And I do that for about 5 or 6 days until whenever I put my hand in his mouth with my glove, then he's very quiet. And then I go to a bumper, and I start a wooden dowel, and I start putting it in his mouth and making him hold it. And when you put it in his mouth, you tap up like that and say hold. And tap up. And if he keeps dropping it, then I'll grab him behind the head whenever I put it in there, his thing, and it makes him close his mouth.
Okay.
And then he'll eventually get it. It's something that takes a lot of patience. You just got to take your time with it. Hold. Drop. It's very important. You get a wounded duck, you get back to the duck blind, the dog drops the duck before he gets to you or hands it to you.
Lost that bird.
You can lose your duck.
And that's your Hunting Break Duck Dog Tip of the Week. With Hunting Break, this is the Duck Dog Tip of the Week. You know, Joe, we're here at the end of the season. A lot of people bring dogs back to you after duck season to get them tuned back up. What are some of the common mistakes or problems you see in dogs after a long duck season?
I find that the biggest problem is they don't, when the dog's running a blind, they don't cast the dog all the way to the bird. And they cast them about halfway and they let the dog hunt. And whenever we get them back, the dogs don't want to run blinds. They want to run a little ways. They want to start hunting. They looking side by side. They looking for the bird instead of listening to me and taking my cast and doing what I'm telling them to do.
That's right. That's one thing we're going to have to work with on Cash.
Yeah. That's
You know, a lot of times we've got clients in the blind, so you know, we should be focused on our dog. If you're training your dog, you should be focused on your dog, but we're focused on the clients, and so a lot of times that is what happens. You know, another thing we see a lot is people letting their dogs break.
Yeah, that's a common mistake.
That's a big no-no. In our line of business, that could be a lethal mistake for your dog if it breaks.
That's right. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, a dog could break and jump up in front of a gun when somebody's shooting, and you could lose your dog. The best thing to do is if the dog breaks one time, is when he comes back in, is put him on a little lead or something, you know, until you get him back under control, because once he starts breaking, you can't hardly stop him, you know, and people are shooting and everything. It's very dangerous.
That's right. I'm Drew Keith with Honey Break, and this is your Duck Dog Tip of the Week. Hi, I'm Drew Keith with Honey Break. This is the Duck Dog Tip of the Week. You know, Joe, you know, we've done this segment all series on our Duck Dog Tips of the Week. Every duck hunter out there either has a dog or aspires to own a dog. And so we wanted to give them something you can work on at the house to use to make your hunting experience better. It's the end of season now. Cash, and you can see he's wore down. He's picked up over 1,000 birds this hunting season. What's some tips that we can give everybody out there about after season nutrition or after season tips to keep them honed up?
Just give him a little break, you know, and just let him have some fun, you know, in his training, and throw him some bumpers and throw him some little light marks, something easy, you know. But just let him relax and get back to where he's you know, he's rested.
Yeah.
And you want to, of course, you want to feed him a good dog food, like exclusive dog food. Premium Performance would be the one for him because you know, he burns a lot of calories.
That's right. I know one thing looking forward to the hunt test season, holding his line. You know, after hunting for 60 days, they pick up a lot of bad habits, and one of his is you know, hunting for those birds in the cover, hunting through the decoys, this, that, and other, instead of keeping his line on a mark, on a blind. So that's something we're going to have to get him tuned back up on before we start going hunt tests.
Yeah, he's going to need some tuning back up on. We'll get him back running straight.
But thank you, Joe, for all your help all season long with all these duck tips. You know, you're the one we look to if we need professional help, and everybody here at Honey Breaks appreciate what you do for us.
Thank you, Drew.
This has been. Hi, I'm Drew Keith with the Honey Break Duck Dog Tip of the Week. This week we've got the newest addition to Honey Break. This is my daughter Carly's new puppy, and y'all are going to get to see Honey, or no less, make her transition from a young puppy into a hunt test dog into a well-trained retriever. Joe, you know, she's 9 weeks old right now. We just picked her up 2 weeks ago. What are we looking at? So what's some things that I can be doing with her at home to get her lined up for training?
You want to throw just a couple of marks. You can do it in the morning and in the afternoon. You want her, if you throw too many of them, she's going to get tired and it won't be fun for her. You want to keep everything fun. Another thing you can do is you take a little lead and you walk her around on it. She's going to tug and everything, but don't worry about it. Just let her pull and just let her get used to the lead. But that's what I would do with her, you know, right now for a few more weeks.
Well, I know you were the other day. I picked her out, and all the pups were running around in the little pen. And Joe picked up a Gatorade bottle and threw it over with some rocks in it. And Honey was the only one that took off after it and went over, and she never left that bottle.
That's right.
He said, "That's the one."
That's it.
So anyway, the one thing we've been working on with her is socialization. She hadn't missed a beat. She's right on my shoe heels. So today at 9 weeks, she actually, after we killed a teal, actually threw it out there, and you know 2 or 3 foot. She actually picked it up and brought it back. I know it's a little early to get her on live birds, but I just want to see if she would do it. So I think she's got the makings of a good dog.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Drew, socialization is 75% of it.
Yep.
If you get them well socialized, they're not afraid of anything. It seems like they just learn better, and it develops their brains and everything, right. You know. So it's a really good thing to get them socialized.
I'm Drew Keith, and this is the Honey Break Duck Dog Tip of the Week.